Ubisoft has been spending money like a drunken sailor over these past couple of years, so how apropos is it their first of many bombs in 2024 was in fact the pirate game that came out 10 years after people noted that they had a pretty interesting ship mechanic and also an incomplete mess that you couldn't even swim in. Like check that out, okay? You're playing a game where you sail the seven seas, engage in a bunch of apparently interesting, the way that they try to put it is interesting, ship combat, but you can't swim. Make that one make sense. It's supposed to be what, the adult version of Sea of Thieves, but you couldn't even get the basics right. But hey, that's all right. It was a quadruple A experience that only cost apparently between 650 and 850 million dollars. Yo, what? Are you kidding me? We don't quite have all of the budgets, and of course this is all prefaced on a rumor, but does it seem out of the realm of possibilities? The way that Yves Guillemot, the CEO over there at the Ubisoft, was touting this, there's a reason that we need to have such very aggressive monetization practices and why the game is so expensive, because it is a quadruple A experience. They were marketing this as the most premier of premier experiences. I would reasonably believe that's true, but then also, how much did it cost? Because this is an original IP, right? And it's not the only one that they launched this year in the form of X Defiant. What was the budget on that? That one, I think, it probably had longer legs, sea legs if you will, than Skull and Bones, but still, that one's languishing, and hell, we're hearing reports that underwhelmed at the sales counter. Stop me if you've heard that one before. And then, of course, another game that we're going to be talking about throughout the rest of this video as well, so I'll just hold back on extrapolating that any further, but there's a reason that they pushed Shadows off to next year, because they couldn't waste this much money again. Don't know if any of these other titles would have cost this much, but would it be a shocker? Really? A rumor claims that Ubisoft allegedly spent between $650 and $850 million on its quadruple A Skull and Bones games. Yo. According to YouTuber Endymion and a source within Ubisoft, which so far that source has had a lot to say. Don't know if it's true. A lot of it does seem viable, but again, take it with a grain of salt. The project that ruined Ubisoft and put them in a dire financial position that they are in after Star Wars Outlaws soft sales. How soft were they? Very shortly, we'll get into that. In the second quarter is Skull and Bones, which he claims cost between $650 and $850 million. I was also told that the project that ruined Ubisoft was not actually Outlaws or Shadows, it was Skull and Bones. My source told me that they have seen multiple different versions of the game that were each completely different over the years. Wow, something with a long, protracted development cycle. Oh, getting close to or surpassing 10 years. Where have we seen that before, Concord? Where are we going to be seeing that in the near future? Dragon Age Veilguard? And when did we see this bomb horrifically? Not to mention Concord. Skull and Bones, great. They said that they were told that the budget that was spent on Skull and Bones, it ranged somewhere from $650 to $850 million over 10 years. Now just go and compare and contrast that to the rumor that Colin Moriarty had in regards to Concord's leaked $400 million budget, and you have the same development cycle. That doesn't factor in Sony purchasing the studio, that's just simply how much money was spent on the project. And to be fair, Concord is a much smaller experience than what Skull and Bones was offering. It was just simply a couple dozen characters, a few dozen maps for a hero shooter. It shouldn't have cost $400 million to begin with, but that's Western game development in a nutshell, where they spend money like it's a checkbox on a DEI list. So yeah, if either of these numbers end up coming out true and we don't hear word on the other, I think it serves logic to agree that these leakers actually be onto something. And that Skull and Bones failed so badly for Ubisoft that it was the actual reason that they're dying the way that they are. It's not actually Outlaws and Shadows, if you can believe it. Yeah, that sunk the legendary amount of resources into the game. It clearly did not work out for them at all. Yeah, I could have pieced that one together, but yeah, to have it down from somebody on the inside, that totally makes sense, because they were putting a lot of stock into this game, man, okay? And it really did look promising, man. Big sea battles, ship battles that built off of the infrastructure that they laid down during the time when Assassin's Creed was actually tolerable. And had they not gone full Ubisoft on it, might have actually turned into something good. Who knows? But that's not the timeline we're working with. The one that we are working with is that Ubisoft CEO is coming out and saying that, yeah, our dog water games are not enough to satisfy people now moving forward. Imagine this, right? He was out there, jangling around the collection plate earlier this year. Please play our quadruple A experience. It's going to be real great for all of you. That's why it costs so much. And now he's saying, making solid games isn't enough when you have gamers expecting extraordinary experiences. You promised them extraordinary experiences. You have also just simply been releasing the same project. Oh, if it's a third person, don't worry, it's just going to be some variation on Far Cry 3. I'm sorry, Assassin's Creed. If it's first person, Far Cry 3. Assassin's Creed 2, and the game that taught everybody definition of insanity. Ubisoft has just been banking on those successes for well over a decade now, and the piper is finally due payment. And now they're bitching and complaining that they haven't iterated over the years, that people are just looking at what they put out and go, oh yeah, typical Ubi slop with a different coat of paint. What, you're not satisfied with our solid games? Well, they haven't been solid for a long time. Bro, I really was casting my mind back. When was the last time I was excited to play a Ubisoft game? It might be Rayman Legends? Those were fun games, the Origins and Legends game, and then they just stopped, and then just little spin-offs based on that. I don't know how much you could really say that that's a Ubisoft project, but the little team-up that the Rabbids characters did, the spin-off from the Rayman games, they did over on the Switch with Mario. It was kind of like baby's first XCOM. Like, those were pretty fun games. Well, the first one was. The second one nobody played, which is, I guess, maybe a little bit more influenced by modern-day Ubisoft. But that was, the last time that I actively searched out a newer Ubisoft game to enjoy it. Not just, oh yeah, right, this used to be a good studio. Yeah, they used to have Prince of Persia games. Even, back during the PS2 when there was a trilogy of games that were out there that started to become edgy the hedgy. Aladdin there by the end, where it was almost a mix between Prototype and Infamous there, with the titular prince has his blades into his forearms and it's all black and red. I can't remember what that one was called, but I can remember the box art because whatever, 15-year-old me thought that was probably the coolest shit imaginable. But now looking at the supposed reboot for Prince of Persia that's going to be coming out soon-ish from Ubisoft, potentially, if they can make it through this incredibly rough stretch, which doesn't look all that likely moving forward, if we're being completely honest, because you have, the CEO saying that, our slop isn't selling anymore. And very much so, the Star Wars Outlaws sold 1 million copies, which is crazy to think that I've watched several people stream this game online, and only 1 million people picked it up. Bruh. This is unironically one of those situations. It runs alongside perhaps Dustborn and Lord of Ring Golem as games that were probably watched and mocked by more people than actually bought the thing. This is crazy, okay? New rumor claims that Ubisoft only sold 1 million copies total for Star Wars Outlaws, far lower than analyst expectations of 5 million. Oh, don't worry, they'll recoup that 4 million when the game's released on Steam at the end of November. Don't worry about that. They'll just be able to close the gap on that. I mean, why wouldn't you want to play this game with such an inviting face on the cover? Wouldn't you want to fire up your system of choice to be greeted by that? Come on. Rumor comes from Grant Taylor Hill at Insider Gaming, who reports, we have secured a current sales figure for source close to the game. At the time of writing, Star Wars Outlaws has just ticked over 1 million sales worldwide. Congratulations! Yay! You just crossed that. Good thing it didn't cost like hundreds of millions of dollars, right? Right? As noted by Hill, Assassin's Creed Mirage reportedly sold 5 million copies after 3 months. And yeah. Speaking of the Assassin's Creed comparisons, what was it? Past couple of days, we'd also talked about how the Shadows, another reason that the game was pushed off is because it only had 7% of the total pre-orders that Assassin's Creed Valhalla had, which wasn't even received all that well. Shadows, at the same period in time from when pre-orders got put on sale until the point where they made the decision, 7%. It's crazy how vicious this tailspin Ubisoft has found themselves in. And hey, it's a coffin of their own making. Like, I have no sympathy for them. They started off the year with Skull and Bones, okay? Wasting, the better part of $1 billion, saying that gamers need to be comfortable not owning any of their games. Just heaping all of this bad will, this bad faith at the consumer's feet, them rejecting it, and now attempting to crawl back and go straight to hell. This appears to be even worse than initial reports. A game industry writer, Christopher Dring, noted, and According to the UK sales chart, that yes, Star Wars Outlaws had done about half of Assassin's Creed Mirage. Okay, yeah, things are lining up, right? It's also clearly significantly lower than what market analysts were expecting. Barclays' Nick Dempsey suggested that Ubisoft would sell around 5 million units back during the company's Q1 2024 sales report in May, and he thought that number was conservative given Ubisoft's bullishness on the game, despite multiple warning flags that the game was in trouble. Another example of companies just locked in their own bubble, not being able to see the forest through the trees, understanding that they have a turd on their hands. Everybody's kind of done with this whole girl boss gender swapping of beloved characters, because I would imagine, right, like if you could get one of the original developers on this, somebody who has a level head over at Ubisoft, well, probably somebody who was originally working on this game back at the cut, nobody that works on it right now, they would probably come forward and say, yeah, this was a Han Solo game. Okay. Yeah, we were really excited to work on this until there came a point in time where, we needed to start to make all of these different changes. We're going to go ahead and zap all the fun out of it and then just put in, a snarky girl boss that just won't shut up with her cute little pet. Oh, it's so wonderful. It's so fantastic. And if you don't like it, well, we'll just go ahead and we'll just raise the defenses on this, because it's not our fault we created a pile of shit and charged you $70 for it. It's that you're a sexist, bigot, misogynist, which is exactly the tact that Ubisoft is going. They cannot go out of business quickly enough, right? Ubisoft CEO blames gamers after poor sales of Star Wars Outlaws. I mean, him doubling down on saying that the gamers, they expect way too much, and that's why our crap games did not sell. That's why our unfinished mess, our broken, buggy disasters that will hopefully have fixed by the end of the year. If you don't want to plunk down up to $130 for a glorified beta, well, you don't deserve to be our customers. Oh wait, where's everyone going? These types of entitled hacks that are permeating the top levels of the AAA, or in Ubisoft's case, quadruple-A gaming space, deserve the failure that they brought upon themselves. You keep making decisions like this to pander to, God, I don't even know who. I legitimately don't know who. Like, are you guys going after the Acolyte audience with this one? Because I'm sure there were Star Wars fans that would have given this a chance. Oh, you have the opportunity to be a real scoundrel, rogue, a Han Solo type. Like, I mean, hell, those Jedi Survivor, Jedi Fallen Order games, they came out after the sequel trilogy, and they did extremely well. At least the first one did. The second one came out as a buggy mess, and frankly killed that franchise dead in the crib. That shows you, even coming from a developer, rather a publisher that has such a bad reputation like EA, Star Wars fans are willing to give the game a shot, as long as you do something that is honest and true to the brand of Star Wars. But this was, and still continues to be, a gigantic disaster, and yeah, it's not exactly the straw that broke the camel's back, but Star Wars Outlaws could serve as being the round fired from their DEI gun that eventually finishes the job. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.